That one, a breaking ball low. And Walker gave that a long look about advancing to third base, but doesn't quite have the speed of a guy like Calusine or Dixon. He decides to play it safe and hold up. The thing about Walker, he's a tying run. I mean, it's just being on base and necessarily third base and taking the risk of getting thrown out. So here's going to be the 2-1 to Christian Santisteban. And the pitch is popped up on the left side. The left fielder coming over, and he'll make the catch, and that'll be the second out of the inning. So both Manhattan Jaspers, Calusine and Santisteban, flying out weakly to the outfield. Now 2 outs and runners on second base as Zach Bellinger comes to the plate, and the Elmira native are looking for a big hit to make this an even closer game as the Pioneers trail the Albany Dutchmen by a 5-3 score. Pitch is fouled away.
As it is also last call for the concession stand this evening. Last call, you can get a hot dog for just $1 or also
So Bellinger behind the count 0-1. Runner on second base. 2 outs at the top of the 8th inning, and the Albany Dutchmen lead the Elmira Pioneers by a 5-3 score. And Gaki delivers. That one's away. Pioneers doing a better job really waiting him out. He was throwing a lot of pitches out of zone that they were swinging at and coming up empty, but this time around they've been able to make him throw the ball over the plate with much better results as they've gone 3 hits so far in the inning. That one, nasty breaking ball, and now it's an 0-2 count on Bellinger, looking to get on base and keep his inning alive. One more base runner, and the Pioneers will have the go-ahead run at the plate in the form of Derek DeLear. And here's the 1-2. Grounded foul. So Gaki still at a count 1-2, and they'll do it all over again. Walker shooting back to second base after the foul ball. And Bellinger has a big hole on the right side of second base to contend with. That one is fouled back over our broadcast booth. And the count remains 1-2. Bellinger with a hit in his first Pioneers at bat, but entered this game with a .222 average, and he's 0 for 3 tonight. Here's the pitch. Swings right through it for strike 3. Nice fastball by Gaki, and Bellinger frustrated as he goes down for the final out of the 8th inning. But the Pioneers with a big frame, they pull within 2 of Albany as they score 2 runs on 3 hits. The big hit coming off the bat of Nick Walker, who had a 2-run single. And at the end of 7.5 innings, it is the Albany Dutchmen 5 and the Elmira Pioneers 3. And you're listening to the Elmira Pioneers Broadcast Network. And we're back here in the Elmira Pioneers game at Bob Belize Field in Albany, New York, as the Elmira Pioneers trail the Albany Dutchmen by a 5-3 score. And for the Pioneers, they're bringing in their closer, Tucker Rakuski, to get in some work and keep the deficit right here at 2. The Pioneers playing 2 runs in the top of the 8th on a big 2-out, 2-run hit by Nick Walker. And that one just foul, and Rakuski ahead in the count 0-1. Excuse me, that was a 1-out hit by Walker, but it's still a very big hit nonetheless. And Rakuski did some closing at Bucknell this past season, hoping to have an even bigger role, but can be overpowered. Check out 10.6 batters per 9 innings last year. That pitch just misses inside, and it's 1-1 to the hitter for Albany, and that's the leadoff hitter and the center fielder, Will Miller. Here's the 1-1 pitch from Rakuski. Oh, there's a little bit of sidearm delivery. That one just misses inside as well, so he's behind the count 2-1. And for Rakuski, sometimes for a closer can be a little bit of a mental issue if you're coming in a non-safe situation, but the Pioneers need him here. They've been struggling the last couple of games, and there's a strike on the outer part of the plate. Nice job by Rakuski, getting back in a count, and it's 2-2. Rakuski hailing from Ridgewood, New Jersey, and he will be entering his senior season at Bucknell. And here's the pitch. That one, the hitter just got a piece of it, it looks like. G going over to throw back to Rakuski. And in the Pure Game Collegiate Baseball League, not quite as easy to throw away baseball, so that one might have gotten a little bit of dirt on it, but Rakuski will gladly take it back. The standards aren't quite as high. And Rakuski will use that same exact baseball to retire the hitter Miller.
And the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes here. Rakuski going to step off the mound here. Rakuski and the catcher, McGee, unable to get on the same page there as what they wanted to do. Matthews walked in his last at bat.
And Rakuski overpowers him for the strikeout. Nice fastball right by Rakuski, able to elevate a little bit. And the hitter Miller just swung right through it for the first out of the inning.
So that'll bring in Sean Aspinall, the right fielder. As Aspinall does have 1 hit on the night. He has reached on an error. Grounded out to the second baseman Walker on 2 separate occasions and has scored 2 runs.
And Rakuski with his delivery, very deceptive, especially against these right-handed batters. And here's the first pitch, and fastball on the outer part of the play. With these deceptive deliveries, sometimes they can be an issue, really repeating your delivery and throwing strikes. And Rakuski did throw a couple of pitches outside the zone to the first batter Miller, but nice job with the strike there. That one also outer part of the plate, and it's fouled away. Rakuski ahead in the count 0-2. Rakuski with the nice fastball, gets some good movement on it to go along with the deception, and he also throws a breaking ball, although we have yet to see it. 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th inning, as the Albany Dutchmen lead the Elmira Pioneers by a 5-3 score here at Bob Belize Field in Albany. And Rakuski set for the 0-2. Fouled away, maybe a little more elevated than Rakuski would have liked. But that's also the type of pitch. If he decides to go back down, all of a sudden the hitter's eye level has been changed, and it's a little bit tougher for him to catch up to that pitch. So sometimes you throw the ball out of zone, maybe you get a foul ball, but it can be a purposeful pitch, and it can help you retire the batter on the next offering. Here's the 0-2. And it is low, and it just gets by the second baseman, Nick Walker. And I'll have to see how they score that. Couldn't quite tell if he was able to get a glove on it, but anyway, a hard hit ball off the bat of Aspinall.
I mean, in my opinion, it looked like it probably should go down as a hit. That was a hot shot to second baseman Walker, and that took a bounce right off of the infield lip on the grass there, and really a tough play for Walker, who really wasn't in front of the ball. He was kind of off to the side of it, so I mean, I could see if he was in front of the ball, and that would have got by him. But the 12th of the night for the Dutchman, and they have a runner on first here with 1 out, and Josh Lee stepping up to the plate.
Yeah, and Walker did have a tough time earlier in the game, but yeah, that one was hit very hard. Rikuski not quite playing that pitch where he wanted. You did look at the fastball down, but the hitter was expecting it, Aspinall was, and he was able to hit it hard. And Walker would have been a nice play if he was able to come up with it. So now Rikuski contending with a base runner on first base with 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th. First a pickoff throw to first base, and that was a nice job by Rikuski, really moving his feet quickly, delivered the ball, and that was close, but not quite.
Definitely caught the runner, Aspinall, off guard over there, as he kind of almost had to crawl back into first base, as he really didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, the best pickoff moves can even fool players not trying to steal. That might be the case there. That one, a fastball, too much movement away, and it'll go off the plate for ball 1. And Rikuski just doing his best to keep the Pioneers down 2 runs. They have some momentum built up, and there's another pickoff throw to first base. And Walker with the 2 RBIs in the last frame, and Rikuski's only job is just to make sure those runs mean something and keep us a 2-run game.
And the runner was off for second there, but the batter, Lee, was late on the fastball from Rikuski, and he fouled it back out of play on the first base side, as the Dutchman trying to go with the hit and run there. We've seen them execute that once earlier in the game that eventually led to them putting a run on the board back in the first inning. And then Elmira, we've also seen them execute it twice on 2 separate occasions.
And Rikuski pretty quick to the plate, and also that nice pickoff move. Like McGee having trouble throwing base runners out, so we'll have to see what does happen if the runner at first base does decide to go.
As Aspinall's at first, in Albany they came in to the game with 6 stolen bases on the year, and they have swiped 3 bases tonight. A chopper to Walker at second. He has to go to first, as he thought he might be able to tag the runner Aspinall, and then quickly he thought about maybe tossing it there, but he goes to first and gets the out, as Bellinger was able to get his foot on the bag, and 2 outs now here in the bottom of the 8th inning, and a runner on second as Nick Jewett will come to the plate.
And that was some really quick thinking by Nick Walker. So many things happening in really a 1 second span. First tried to make a tag, then tried to throw to second, was able to quickly realize that neither of those was happening and throw to first base for the out. Nice job not trying to do too much and maybe throw the ball to second base when it was going to be a very difficult play. And now 2 outs, and Rikuski 1 out away from tossing a clean inning. And that one misses just outside. Rikuski with a lot of movement out of that fastball from his arm slot. Really great horizontal run away from a right-handed batter. But sometimes the issue is, it's such great movement that it just goes right in and out of the strike zone. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Swung on and missed. Nice job by Rikuski. Deceptive arm angle. A little bit of movement on it and able to force the batter Jewett to swing and miss. Rikuski contending with the runner on second base, but there is 2 outs as he hopes to keep the Pioneers down only 2 runs entering the top of the 9th inning. That one hits the batter, and he'll be awarded his base. That one got away from Rikuski a little bit, and that'll be the 2nd hit batter of the game for Pioneers pitching. He'll also hit one last inning. So now it'll be 1st and 2nd with 2 out for the Albany Dutchmen, as they're hoping to extend their lead. And if you're looking ahead to the top 9th inning for the Pioneers, it will be DeLear, Garana, and McGee due up. With DeLear, he reached out on an error, while Garana did have his first hit as a Pioneer, and McGee drew a walk and came around to score. And the first pitch to the designated hitter, number 20, Cameron Miller, and swings right through it for strike 1. Kuski in a little trouble here, trying to get out of it. That one misses outside. Kuski one of those pitchers with his arm action that sometimes he can come a little bit out of sorts, and even when he's going well, the left-handed hitters will have an easier time against him. They'll be able to have a little bit of a better look at the ball, but if you execute your pitches, it won't make a difference. That one misses down and away. McGee trying to frame it on the outer part of the plate, but not doing so successfully. The umpire was not convinced. And it's a 2-1 count with 2 outs. Here to designated hitter Cameron Miller. And here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. Nice job by Kuski with the fastball a little bit above the waist of Miller, able to get the swing and miss. Now it's going to be 2-2 with 2 outs to the hitter number 20. Not quite number 22 with all 2s on the scoreboard, but pretty close. And Kuski trying to get out of the inning. Pitch. Fastball outer part of the plate, and that'll do it in the bottom of the 8th inning. Kuski works into some trouble, but able to escape it. And after 8 innings, it'll be the Albany Dutchman 5 and the Elmira Pioneers 3 here on the Elmira Pioneers Broadcasting Network. And we're back here at the Elmira Pioneers game at Bob Lisi Field in Albany, New York, as the Albany Dutchmen lead the Elmira Pioneers 5-3 entering the top of the 9th inning. And the Pioneers drawn closer in the last frame. In the top of the 8th, they got a 2-run single by Nick Walker, and Tucker Kuski able to work around a couple of base runners to make the deficit still only 2 runs. And coming into the game, for the Dutchman is right-hander Kyle Zurak, number 25. He's a 6'185" right-hander out of Radford, and coming into a big spot for the save situation, and he's only a rising sophomore, so this is a big spot for him, and the Pioneers will hope to put something together. All they need is a bloop and a blast. Hasn't been a home run yet in this game, but they do have a couple players with the pop to pull that off. And 2 up in the inning will be the shortstop Derek DeLear, the left fielder Garana, and the catcher Colin McGee. And we'll have to see if Matt Bush elects to go to his bench or whether he trusts his hitters in this situation. Indeed, it will be Derek DeLear leading off the inning. And it will be righty on righty, Zurak against DeLear to start the top of the 9th inning, with the Pioneers down 2 runs. Here's the first pitch.
Leading off for Elmira, the shortstop from Florida International, number 12, Derek Diller.
And that one, it just missed, and DeLear also just held up. So could have been a strike in 2 different ways. It was in neither. So DeLear ahead in the count 1-0. Second pitch from Zurak. And that one, a little bit of a slider right there, and he's able to get the called strike. So that's going to be a 1-1 count to Derek DeLear. DeLear hoping to be a leadoff base runner for the Pioneers, and he would make the batter of the play the tying run. And there's a ground ball to shortstop, and it's fielded, fired to first by Urbeck, and that'll be the first out of the inning. Pioneers down to their final 2 outs. Here's Joe Garana, the left fielder out of Old Dominion. And Garana, after his Old Dominion teammate Nick Walker came up with a big hit last inning, he'll have to do the same this time around. 1 out, and he's facing off against Kyle Zirak for Albany. And here is the first pitch. It's bunted, but bunted foul. Nice idea by Garana, trying to use his speed to get aboard, but wasn't executed quite well enough, and it goes right back to the screen. And that'll be strike 1. Garana with his first hit as an Elmira Pioneer back in the 5th inning, and he advanced as far as third base, although the Pioneers were unable to drive him in. Here's the pitch to Garana. Swinging away, and that one was awfully close. But the catcher kind of had to reach down a little bit to get it. Didn't catch it in the cleanest way possible. And it's going to be a 1-1 count on Joe Garana. Zirak set. And he delivers. And it's bouncing ball to first base. It's going to be fielded by the first baseman himself. And that'll be a second out of the inning. And the Pioneers will be down to their final out, and it will be up to Colin McGee to extend the game. McGee with a few nice at-bats, especially back in the 3rd inning, when he laid off a couple of tough breaking pitches on his way to a walk. He then moved to second base on Taylor Hilson's ground out, third base on a wild pitch, and then scored on Chris Kalusian's sac fly. So here's McGee hoping to extend the game. That one is a strike on the outer part of the plate. Nice fastball by the pitcher, Zirak. And he's ahead in the count 0-1. That one just a little bit low. Similar pitch, but a couple inches difference, and that made all the difference to the umpire as he called that pitch a ball. 1-1 McGee hoping to keep the Pioneers alive in this game. That one will miss low. Maybe overthrowing it a little bit too much movement on it, and it goes right out of zone. And McGee is ahead in the count 2-1. He'll look for a pitch to hit here, try to hit his way aboard. And Zirak deals. And it's a ground ball. The second baseman will field it, and he'll bobble a little bit, and McGee is going to be safe at first. And that is a big play. It looked for a moment like the Pioneers might be out of luck in this game, but second baseman couldn't quite field it cleanly, and the Pioneers are still alive. Up comes Taylor Hilson to the plate. And we're going to have a pinch runner for the Pioneers. And going to first base to replace the catcher, McGee, is going to be number 2, Taylor Skirpon. Skirpon adding a little bit of speed.
The third baseman from Mansfield, number 5, Taylor Hilson.
And this is a big mark for the Pioneers. Now their final out, but they do have a runner on first base. And that one will miss outside to Taylor Hilson, who's come up with singles in his last 2 at-bats. And the Pioneers need another hit here if they hope to keep this game alive. Skirpon, we'll have to see if he tries to advance a second. They are holding him on, so a little bit of a bigger hole for Hilson. And that one's away. So it's a 2-0 count. Hilson trying to find some way to get aboard. And if he does, Chris Kalusian, who homered in last night's game and has been a big hitter for the Pioneers all season, will be on deck. And here's a 2-0 offering from Zirak Hilson, righty on righty. The pitch. That one dots the outside corner, and it's 2-1. Hilson taking all the way, trying to do as little as possible, trying not to risk hitting into an out. And it's all up to him as the Pioneers hope to bring Kalusian to the plate. That one is high, and is a 3-1 count to Taylor Hilson. Pioneers trailing the Albany Dutchman by a 5-3 score, but they have a runner on first here in the top 9th inning. And Taylor Hilson is ahead on the count, 3-1. This is a big pitch for Zirak as he hopes to keep Hilson in the batter's box. And it's down and away ball 4. And the tying runs will be on base for the Elmira Pioneers with Chris Kaluzian coming up to the plate. Kaluzian, the Pioneers' leading hitter from last season, hitting an incredible .376, and he's been at it again this year, entering the game at .444. So far in this game, he's 0-2 with a sac fly, and Pioneers have to hope that he's due. Single would make it a 5-4 game, an extra base hit could tie it. And here's the pitch. And Kaluzian half swing, and they said he went, and he's kind of count 0-1. Zurak trying to bear down and record the final out of the game, while Kaluzian hoping to continue the inning for the Pioneers. Here's the pitch. That one hits the outside corner right at Kaluzian's knees. A great pitch by Zurak, and the Pioneers announcing their final strike. This is a guy you want to play in Kaluzian, and he is in a tough spot as he hopes to execute and keep this game alive. Here's the 0-2 to Kaluzian from Zurak. And that one, they said he went, and that will be the way it ends. And Zurak with the big strikeout of Kaluzian to finish off the contest, as the Elmira Pioneers will drop their third straight game, 5-3 to the Albany Dutchmen. And Doug, this is another tough game for the Pioneers. They really were able to make it close at the end. Nick Walker with the big 2-run hit, but before we knew it, they ran out of time. They just couldn't quite put enough together in that 9th inning.
Yeah, I mean, another tough loss for the Pioneers, but, I mean, you try to take positives out of every loss that you can in a positive here. The Pioneers fought back in this game. They didn't give up when it was 5-1. They didn't give up when Albany loaded the bases and had a chance to really blow open the game. They got out of the inning. They stayed in it with their pitching. Matt Birch went through his bullpen methodically to keep Elmira in it. The bullpen answered the call. They did their job. Elmira was able to get the tying run on base, the go-ahead run at the plate. They had that rally in the 8th inning. I mean, there was a lot of positives. It's a long season, you know. This is the 5th game of the year. Yes, it's a 3-game losing streak. But, you know, the 5th game of the year, that's why, you know, you play 48 games in the PGCBL. A lot of ball to play. It's still early on, guys figuring out, you know, different things that are going on here, figuring out the players, figuring out their teammates. And, you know, it's a good moral loss. You really can't say that, oh, we lost and it's a good thing. But, you know, there's a lot of positives that come out of this game moving forward as Elmira, you know, heads back home tomorrow night, to take on Newark at Dunn Field.
And for the Pioneers, they really had a trio of pitchers who really delivered gutsy outings. So you had the starter, Taylor Ahern, who didn't have his best stuff, wasn't quite as dominant as he was when he led Siena to the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference Championship during this regular college season. But he was able to go 4 innings, allowing only 2 runs, forcing quite a bit of contact on the ground, and he allowed 2 runs in the first inning, but it was really bend but not break after that. And then we saw a pair of relievers, and that was Hill and McCuskey, and both of them also allowed their base runners, but they found a way to keep Dutchman off the board and really made this game close to the very end. It was an exciting game through and through. Walker with, once again, that big hit in the 8th inning. And how about Taylor Hilson? He really had a couple of huge hits.
Yeah, I really liked what I saw from from Taylor Hilson here tonight for Elmira, and really I've liked what I've seen from him all year. And earlier in the year, Matt Birch talked to him after the Pioneers opening a game against Watertown and said, you know what, we know you're not a number 9 hitter, but right now you fit into the number 9 spot. We love having you at the 9 hole, and then having Kaluzian leading off and then going right into Dixon, hitting second. And it's worked as of late for Elmira. And you know what? It's 3 in a row, but it's early on. I really feel like Elmira has one of the most potent offenses in the league. And you know what? They are working through here, finding out what their teammates can do, and just kind of working out early on, feeling things out. 2-3 after the first 5 games, things could be a lot worse. Still only a couple games out of first place with Newark coming into town tomorrow night, so definitely should be a great game. Tickets available for the Pioneers game tomorrow night, guaranteed win night. You can stop by the Pioneers front office at the ballpark, 546 Lewis Street in Elmira, New York, or you can give us a call at 607-734-2690. Again, guaranteed win night at the ballpark. Come out and see the Pioneers take on the Newark Pirates at historic Dunn Field. The Pioneers' 126th season of baseball has definitely been a great one so far. Over 7,000 fans coming up to Dunn Field for their first 2 games. And definitely tomorrow night will be another exciting game as the Pioneers look to get back into the win column after dropping 3 in a row. That'll do it for us here in Albany. as the Pioneers fall to the Dutchmen by a score of 5-3. We thank you for listening in. Doug Page alongside Robbie Knopf here at Bob Bleasy Field in Albany. That will do it for us tonight. We thank you for listening in. Tune in tomorrow night as the Pioneers take on the Newark Pilots from Dunfield and Elmira. So long and good night.